Many Arab countries have not been as critical about Israel's attacks on Gaza as they have in previous years. CCTV's Adel El Marouki is in Cairo with more on the shift and if Arabs are now really maybe leaning in favor of Israel. Adel?
Well, Sean, Arab leaders have not been seen giving strong statements or at least strong condemnation to the Israeli attacks on Gaza. We've seen, of course, some condemnation, but the tone in general was not as critical as in previous years. And on the popular level, we haven't seen as much protests as the previous year. At least the number of protests are not many and the number of protesters are not as much. So this is by far the weakest reaction we've seen from the Arab world on both the government level and the popular level. Another Israeli war on Gaza, but Arab voices this time are quieter than before. Some have explained that passive Arab approach to the crisis as encouraging to Israel for clamping down Hamas's influence over Gaza. Others disagree.
It is unacceptable to describe the Arab positions towards Hamas to be different. There are many factors that make it seem so. Opinion makers here are opposing Hamas and its attitude to relate the crisis with the Brotherhood's situation. Also, main countries involved in this crisis are themselves facing types of terror. Syria is divided, Lebanon struggling, Iraq, Libya, and even Egypt. On a popular level, many Egyptians were shocked to see Hamas involved in issues that concern their national security.
Egypt has been gaining billions of dollars of aid from Arab countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Kuwait after it ousted the Islamist president Mohamed Morsi and began a crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood. Cairo has been accusing the Brotherhood and its offshoot Hamas of conspiring against it and planning attacks on the country. Hamas, on the other hand, has so far rejected to adhere to any of the Egyptian proposals for a ceasefire, confirming its ties with the Brotherhood and pushing the crisis to last longer.
There are misunderstandings that deepen the tense ties with Hamas. For example, the group's pride and rejection to the Egyptian proposal that earned unanimous approval from the international community, because it learned of it from the media and the PLO, not directly from Egypt. It also preferred dialogue with Qatar and Turkey, who are allies but have no influence over that crisis, unlike Egypt that has the Rafah Passage. So Hamas, to return to this, it refused to give Egypt privilege of ending the conflict and make it gain international appreciation.
On Saturday, Egyptian President El-Sisi said he is keen to end the strife of the Palestinian people. He stressed, however, that all communication must go through the Palestinian Authority, which in turn would gather all Palestinian factions. And officially, it seems that this is what stands from the Egyptian Authority when it approaches the Palestinian crisis, at least under Sisi's administration. Now, most analysts say that it is not the main theme that Arab countries, particularly Egypt, are sort of punishing Hamas through its resistant approach. But at the same time, they're not denying that some of the passiveness might be because of that.
A Palestinian delegation minus Hamas should be in Cairo to discuss the possibilities of a ceasefire. What could be expected from those talks, especially after Netanyahu's announcement today that they're going to continue their mission and Israel is not going to take part in this?
Well, Sean, the delegation has already arrived. There was previously announced that it will be composed of at least 4 members of Hamas. 3 of them will be coming from the Palestinian territories or other countries in the region. None of those have arrived until so far, at least so far, sorry. And at the same time, the only representative for Hamas that is still present, and he is actually living in Egypt, is Musa Abu Marzouk, and he is present, but it is not clear whether he will be attending these talks or not. But overall, it seems that the chances to reach anything significant is slim, particularly after Netanyahu's statement. Now, Hamas will definitely be keeping on with its resistance and firing rockets and continue to push back the attacks, as is described as a patriotic act by the Palestinians and many Arab nations as well. But at the same time, now the role of the Palestinian Authority is diminished through these talks. That does not include Hamas, which mainly is have authority over the Gaza Strip, which is in conflict with Israel.
Adel El Marouki in Cairo, thanks for the very latest disappointing news for those hoping for a ceasefire. There are reports of giant oil depot fire near Tripoli's international airport in Libya. The blaze started as the oil depot was hit by shells fired by rival militia groups. Firefighters were driven away from the scene by the ongoing violence, and this continues weeks-long round of fighting at Tripoli and Benghazi. Authorities say more than 200 people have been killed, more than 900 wounded so far. In the meantime,